Like I would get into my groove and just be like, hey, this is what they want to hear. I'll give it to them.
I mix it up. I try to.
Yeah, and it's actually funny because when we posted your interview that you and me had done at Terrific Con,
yep.
Leo brought up, he was like, "Wow, why did you shut him down about advertising his Kickstarter?" I was like, I forgot that we can do that. I didn't, and I was like, oh, I felt like I didn't realize I did it because I was like in the middle of a no-hitter with interviews. You were like my 10th in a row. I was running on so much adrenaline.
Yeah. Drew was on fire that day.
I literally, to quote Nick Cage in a movie Kari hates, like, I felt like my skull was on fire. And Leo pointed out, and I was like, wait a second, review the minutes. Oh shit, I did say that. I was like, man, I felt so bad because you're so polite and accommodating, and I was just like, do you fuck over the guy who wrote Hellraiser? That's like how you die.
Well, it's.
I still have some pull with the Dead of Night. It's true. Yeah. But you're okay. You're safe. We're all friends.
Yeah. So small apologies, everybody. Make sure you know what you're talking about before you say no on camera, because then Leo will call it out. So thanks, Leo.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I can't believe you did that. I must have missed it.
Oh, I cut it out.
It was
okay.
it was very fast, but I remembered it.
Coming off that panel, like we've talked about before, you knew who I was, which was a big step up from where I'd been an hour before.
So could you please tell me about your contributions to Moon Knight?
Moon Knight, yeah. Talking about my contributions to Moon Knight. Wasn't the Moon Knight TV show great? Let's not revisit that.
He was part of that panel. Oh no! I said you were part of that panel. I didn't know that.
Me, Howard Mackey, and Terry Cavanaugh. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I heard it was wonderful. I heard the panel host and everything was just right on point.
In the groove. Stay on target.
It was like Jeremy. It was like watching three Marvel magicians all just up there saying like, well, this is how we did the trick. Okay. Like there's like, you could do it too, except you weren't us. So it was, if we gave them all, like if they all had unlimited beer, we would have got, Marvel After Dark.
That would have been good. They should fill those tumblers with something aside from water. You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Mackie pulling up his phone to start Googling. Did I really do that?
Oh no, he was seeing if he could get travel out of that conference hall right there. He was like, could I book a trip out of this room? Like that's what
like and then when we had him on the show, it was one of those where that's literally who he is. Like Kari would bring up, he was like, I did that. I was like, okay, sure, yes. And he's like, yeah, no, it was great. I'm like, okay, well, if it was great, then yeah, I totally did that. And I was like, that Mackie,
in the land of make believe, as long as you go along with it.
So it, like I said before we show, I was unfamiliar with the Nightbreed, so I had to do the research. So I watched the movie, and I also rewatched Hellraiser because that's a classic. I love that world, and I was like, wow, the scope of your crossover in just 2 issues was crazy, because nowadays, and we've talked about this on the show, like if they've made it now, this would be like, what do you think, Jar? Like 7-8 issues
at
least, and you did it in 2. There were big issues, yeah, but like the storytelling, I was like, wow, this is a big story. And then your artistic collaborator, that
Paul
was
Johnson, yeah,
fabulous,
incredible,
beautiful work. Like, yeah, exactly. Like bloody, evil, gory.
Yeah.
And beautiful at the same time. I mean, just shockingly beautiful. It was a crystallized experience, like in so many ways. I will get into whatever details you want, but I actually felt like it was the perfect length, for what it needed to be. I did not feel constrained. I think I didn't make some of my, I'll often torture myself and say, oh, I didn't quite stick the landing on something, or I rushed the ending, or that kind of thing. And this just, even though there's just fuck ton of stuff going on, in this story. It all just feels like the exact right combination, and then the ending to me is just lyrical. The ending came to me so early on, and Pinhead was just like whispering in my ear, just in that Doug Bradley voice saying, "This is the last line I'm going to say." Like I knew the last line of that story. I think the minute I sat down to write it, it was just it was that kind of experience.
Had you written Hellraiser before, any Hellraiser stuff before this?
No, I had never seen the movies, or no. Yes, I had a lot to do with the Hellraiser.
Well, I was just wondering how you got tapped to do these.
I had written. I'd seen the movies, and then I was instrumental. Clive, I think, at one point gave me the moniker of the Godfather of the Clive Barker's Hellraiser comic. Me and Archie Goodwin, I think, were the co-Godfathers. So I'll go out on a limb and say I co-created the comic with Archie and Clive, and so had brought that to life and figured out how we're going to translate the movies into the comic anthology. And then I was the regular editor for a couple of issues, and then I was the consulting editor for most, if not all, of its run, and then would also contribute a number of stories to the Hellraiser anthology along the way. I didn't overstay my welcome, but every now and again I'd raise my hand and say, "I've got an idea. Can you just get me in without pitching it?" And most of the time they did. So, so I was pretty familiar with the world, and then I had also launched the Nightbreed comic when I was an editor, and had the smarts to bring on Alan Grant and John Wagner, and Jim Bakey. So we really went A-team on the comic book adaptation, which was unusual. Usually you do comic book adaptations of movies and you're sort of like, who's available? Who's under a rock? Who's waiting in the hallway? And we went for some top tier talent and got them. And they really leaned very heavily into it. And I think made that adaptation really sing. And then when they ran out their run and the book was going to continue, that was probably the most singularly shameless moment in comics for me, because I went into the editor who was going to take over the book, and I said, I'm taking over this book.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, Dan. There's just this moment here. I have to tell you, being a Hellraiser fan, this moment killed me because I don't think, and I've watched enough Hellraiser to say that I'm a decent fan. Like, I know exactly where in my mind it just went off the rails, and I have very little love for the remake they did. I do like, as we coined it, the Hulu Razor. I did like that, but this moment, and I said this to Kari, I was like, this is my top 5 favorite moments. And Leo, if you can blow this up, I feel like I have to try reading this in the Doug Bradley voice, because I've never not only seen, like, I've seen Pinhead be snarky because he's that, but holy crap, I've never seen him insult somebody like this. And I died. I was like, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seriously. Like it was the thing that I loved is that it was said, and then Alistair has that moment where he's like, wait a second, what? And then his lover's like, he just called
comment, Drew.
What?
Read
I'm sorry.
Drew.
Oh.
Read it.
I'm trying to okay. Yours is a rectum by which the abyss itself pales in comparison. And then, is that so? Well, let me tell you something. What did he say? I think he just called you hell's biggest asshole. like I died. Like, I actually paused and took a minute to let that sink into what's left of my brain. I was just like,
see, yes. That's what I mean. You can't write lines like that. They're channeled. I really feel they are. Like, when characters work and they kind of come to life for you, you're just sort of like doing this keyboard Ouija board sort of thing, and just they're telling you what they're going to say. And that was another moment I felt that just came forward so early on and so quickly. I couldn't write this book fast enough to try to keep up with what they almost all wanted to say and do.
Yeah, I could not.
Thank you for
have
calling that up, though.
I'm just admiring the artist. Leo's flying by it.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, we
one
reviewed
other thing that
the book very quickly, so this is splash speed. So if you see something, call it out, please.
one other thing that I noticed that Paul did, I'm assuming by design, and like at this point it's at night, so there's some kind of blues and stuff in here, but oftentimes most of the scenes involving the Nightbreed have very warm colors, a lot of yellow and red and orange and things going over them, like right in here.
Right.
But in Hell, it's the cold and the blues, and even the yellow that surrounds Leviathan is somehow a cold, muted yellow.
I think that was very intentional on Paul's part, because as we sort of talked about last time, because we did dive pretty deep into Hell and Hellraiser and such. You know, the conceit, the thing that Clive and I arrived at, as we discussed what I had done on Hellraiser, and what we had done is we created the Hellraiser comic, and then as I got into writing Nightbreed and understanding what Nightbreed was and what was the differentiation between the two, right? His Hell was contradicting most expectations. Hell is pandemonium, Hell is disorder, Hell is all those things. His Hell was discipline, right? His Hell was the extraordinary, extreme precision, of order beyond all other things. And the Nightbreed, by contrast, were disorder. I mean, that obviously comes through with a 2x4 in the story. So I think that sense of the warmth and the organic qualities of the colors when it's about the Nightbreed, and the pale precision, if you will. Paul and I didn't really ever talk about that, but it felt so right when you see it, and you guys are picking up even there in that shift right there, as you're kind of going, right as Hell kind of comes in, the color does the shift to the palette really quickly.
Yeah, it's true. So
just gorgeous.
There was actually another thing I had is that it's actually kind of piggybacking this theme that hopefully I'm actually hoping gets picked up in horror, because it's kind of something that I thought of when reading this, is that I don't know if you saw the movie, the Predator movie, Prey, which
I loved it. Yeah.
And I saw somebody who was like, wow, we need to do more movies like this, where it's like horror franchises in the past. And it was like I'm not exactly, I don't remember. There was like 3 pitches, but the one that I loved was like the ancient Greeks and a puzzle box. And I was like, wow. Like, it was just one of those where, yes, please. Especially because, as you know, in your run, history is a big part of Hellraiser, especially because as we've seen in the other movies, that it's not just modern day, that the Cenobites have been finding converts for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands. So there's big history there. So I guess the question I had is reading this, did you ever have like a story, like you're back to writing Daredevil right now as part of the Marvel nostalgia? If they ever had an idea, would you ever, like, how do I say this? Would you ever pitch like a lost Hellraiser story or something like that? Would, like, something you'd be like, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Like, you're a little, hi, I have an idea. I have something.
Oh yeah. I mean, I loved these worlds. I mean, I enjoyed the heck out of them, no pun intended. So if there was ever an opportunity to kind of return to them, I would, I'm sure I could cook up something, not necessarily even thinking about it like as a lost Hellraiser story. It's just simply, you start to lean into that. I mean, I think Prey obviously worked, great as that predating history thing, but Prey is also just a great movie. Right. It's just a really well executed movie with really strong characters, and not just trying to repeat the same old formula. That's the success of a Prey or any story. It's the people who are going to get lost in it and sort of say, just like they got lost in Barbie, and they says, great, let's make a Magic 8-Ball movie. It's not like saying every movie needs to be part of a franchise and we're going to historically operate it. That could be a great movie too. I'm not saying that it couldn't be. Right. But Prey was a revelation because wow, you just like had an extraordinarily strong leading character. They're clever. They're not just fodder.
Right.
And so I think that one of the things that makes this work for me, or made it work for me,
Mhm.
was this wasn't a murder by numbers thing, right?
Right.
It was not the Nightbreed wiping the floor with the Cenobites, and it was not the Cenobites wipe. Although as we're looking at this axe,
That was
somebody's getting
good
something
right
wiped there, but good stopping point. But I love them both,
Right.
and so I didn't have a horse in this race except to tell a good story.
Right.
So there was this shifting allegiances, if you will,
Mhm.
to kind of go back and forth between them. And then again, finding that moment when I realized, well, Baphomet's a god and they need a god on their side. And,
Right.
these things just came together in this way. And then it not being, as you were going at the beginning of this, not, hey, we're pals now. No, it's convenience, allegiance of convenience.
Yeah.
A couple panels or a couple pages up there. You don't have to go up Leo, it's fine. When
No.
the Chatterer catches the axe in his teeth.
Oh yeah.
And they go over and refer to him as Mictlantecuhtli, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not Aztecan, so giving it my best shot. But
So cool.
This is I'm nerding out on something, but he is one of the Aztecan gods of the dead, and one of his other names that he goes by, or another avatar of him, translates into broken face. Now, is that why he was given that name?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely.
Did you do that, or did Clive do that? I wasn't sure.
No, I did all the namings here. I'm going to take
Okay.
credit for it. And if Clive ever gets on and disputes me, then I will go with Clive. But I'm pretty sure I did this.
Okay.
I will always err on the side of giving Clive deference. But
And how do you pronounce it?
I have no freaking clue. I mean, don't even know. I mean,
You're doing great.
I mean, I was such a mythology nerd and demon nerd, and Kari, you were, I think you posted something about like all those demonology books I was putting out. Those were like, I've had some of those since these days. Others, I just keep buying new ones. I don't know why. But this would be my research, my bread and butter. And so I would find these things that I had gathered up over time. And as I started to think about, now I need to create the shock troops of hell, and who's on whose side, who's on Pinhead's side, who's on the rebel side, if you will, and starting to kind of build them out. Then I wanted something more than just simply Chatterer and Butterball and that sort of thing. So who sounded like something, and then doing a little bit more digging and a little bit more research, and then saying, all right, I'm not going to go on a deep dive on Aztec religions here, but yeah, that looks like that could be that, or at least what an Aztec culture knew of that creature or thing or Cenobite at that point in time.
Leo, that page right there, up a little bit, I think, but the one that had all the orange across it.
The full page, buddy. The splash page.
The splash page. There we go. This one is super important. They're looking into Pinhead's head to see what's going on, and we have the whole story behind Demolay and the Knights Templar and how everything ties in together in this, and it's all done. Oh God, it's an amazing story panel. The way everybody looks into it, and then just Pinhead down at the very bottom having his say. But how they could see all that in his brain, sorry for those of you who haven't read it yet, but this is a very important thing to know about. The Knights Templar are involved in this, and Jeremy, but I'm gonna make him. But
you're gonna make me?
I'm gonna make you. But this is a very important page, and you really gotta check it out. And he did so well with his art. Oh my God!
I
sorry to interrupt.
rarely
That was just
geek out on my my work. I rarely have read it. This one is one of the few I've reread, and you guys are doing me a treat because I do love these lines. Truth like the divine can be exquisite in its hurt. I can't write that. That's just like a channeled moment. But what I think is interesting about Paul as an artist here too is he evokes Doug's face or Pinhead's face without, mimicking it, right? Sometimes the danger, I think, of movie adaptations again is there is that, that attempt to sort of capture an actor's likeness, and then it has that very stilted quality that a lot of film, TV adaptations of things have, and yet this feels so of the character and of Doug without it being it at the same time. It's very much its own thing. Yeah, really, really terrific artist.
And one more thing that I like to point out, and then I'm going to shut up because I feel like I want to give Jeremy and Leo a chance to talk.
They're on the show too.
Yeah, they're yeah. I also love the idea that the Cenobites have an armory, like they have somebody the weapons. And I was just thinking, I was like, you know what? It was kind of like when you have a part of history filled in that you're like, you know what? We kind of took that for granted, but that was explained, and I was like, this is a good answer. Like you wouldn't think, like, you're like, yo, where did all those chains come from? Like, if they had a weapon, where would they come from? Like, that's not just magic. Like, someone made that shit. Like, so I'm just thinking to myself, like, reading, like, we just passed it, and I was just like, yeah, they would have an armory, and they would totally have an armorer. So, right. And
I just find it great how civilized hell is.
It's very civilized.
There's so many rules and regulations, and everything's very tight knit. Like Pinhead keeps a tight ship.
Runs a tight ship. But it's interesting, Drew, what you're saying there, because I think that this also, not really super consciously, but this sort of reflects, I think, something we were talking about last time, which is the process of doing the anthology fueled this book in a lot of ways, because I was able now to lift from newer characters that had been created along the way, like Atkins, who was the armorer, or other characters that were created by other people in other Hellraiser stories, which had enriched the Hellraiser universe. Mostly, I did most of the heavy lifting of the Nightbreed stuff, but then I could bring them in here for either small or semi-significant roles, which was what we really wanted to do with the Hellraiser series. Right. We wanted to kind of open the universe up, and I think this was no matter who had done this, and I can't imagine who else would have done this, but that's the tribute, to the world that we were building, because Clive let us.
Right. And the last thing I will say is I also enjoyed that this book really I felt restored the somewhat neutrality of the Cenobites, because in the first two movies, you have that famous line, like angels to some, demons to others. There's that kind of ambiguity that then, like, around, I'd say, the third movie, we just went, they're evil. It's just evil. Right. I feel like with your book, you got that sense, like, we are not, what we do can be perceived as evil, but you rationalize that we are about order, that within our evil, there is structure, there is purpose. And then for the Nightbreed, we are chaos attempting to find law. Like Midian was law, and when Midian fell, we are anarchy once again, because we are without a base, we were without an anchor, we are a floating ship in the night. And of course, to the Cenobites, this is the worst thing ever. So that's the fight. So, but back to my point being is, I really enjoyed that, because I feel like it's so easy in horror movies, like you have that, this is bad, but with Clive and the Cenobites and Pinhead and all that, you had that there was that interpretation. They could be evil to people who don't understand, but to some who want their knowledge, they are considered good. So again, it's all about perception. You know,
That clues back into the the initial promise of the first movie, which certainly has some flaws to it, but I mean is buying away an amazingly original vision. And the thing that always stuck with me from that was and I don't remember the specific line, but I mean, essentially, we are agents of experience, right? We are here to bring you an experience,
right?
what you are either prepared for or not, but that's what we're bringing you, and how you perceive that experience, pleasurable, painful, whatever, is up to you. And where are you ready? Where are you on the scale, right?
Right.
And that sort of thing. And I would just, for what it's worth, counter, but it's your view, so it's totally legitimate, and that's how
Right.
you're interpreting the story. But I don't think that Midian was order and structure so much as just, we just want to live, right? The Nightbreed just want to live, and that's sort of the organic. They're a commune. They're a bunch of hippies. They're a bunch of like monstery hippies, and Archie Goodwin was the I believe I said this last time. Was the one who had the epiphany about what's that, Jeremy?
I was saying you even had what's her name sitting there strumming the guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Stuff.
But he's the one who sort of like said they're the X-Men, right? They've got extraordinary powers, and they just kind of want to live. They just want their equal due, and instead they're being persecuted and prosecuted and everything else. And so that to me was the gold ticket early on of like, how do we approach this as an ongoing book?
Right.
And so they just want to live, strum their guitar, avoid eating human meat, and just get on.
That's one of the best. Okay. For all of this, I grant you the breaking the law and eating
just this once.
Just once.
Just once. He didn't even hesitate. He went right in. He was like, what?
It was a happy meal.
Yeah. He was smiling the whole time.
Even came with toys.
So, Leo and Jeremy, if you'd like to talk, please.
Oh, I've been talking. Come on.
I feel like I've been.
Do you have any bias in any of this, Dan? Like, who did you know right away how you were going to end it?
You mean bias? Like, how is it going to like settle out?
Like
I mean,
I knew it wasn't, or not new, but the ending is very. How to put it? It fit very well. It was just like a classic kind of like end to a movie almost. And it did you have that already planned out?
Yeah, this thing came to me in the whitest heat of whitest heat. This was lightning in a bottle. I mean, I really saw this thing fleshed out, as you will, in such a complete way very early on. The Knights Templar stuff took a little bit more work to figure out the specifics around that, but I knew the big beats of it really quickly.
Was there a reason you used Jacques Desmoulins as the knight?
I cannot remember why. I'm sure if I went back in and looked, if I had those notes and research anymore, but it struck me. I know I researched it, but I couldn't tell you why right now.
As a kid, I was part of a group that was based off of Jacques Desmoulins, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, okay, now I can connect something here."
I don't know about these guys with these pins and these weird, moon face people, but
Dan, I'm sitting there. I'm like, he seems like such a refined gentleman. What has he got me reading here?
It gets more and more twisted. But really my bias was really, again, just to tell a good story. I mean, I knew that I wasn't going to kill Pinhead. I wasn't going to destroy Pinhead. Yeah. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do a Pinhead versus everybody's story. So I had to introduce people worse than Pinhead. Like Pinhead was not a good guy, but once Clive charged me with this thing. You know, he was like, so what about that Nightbreed Hellraiser crossover? What do you mean, what about that Nightbreed Hellraiser crossover? What are you talking about? Like, you know, well, the one you're going to write. Okay, thank you. And then your wheels just start turning. But I had affection again for these characters. And I wanted to use Pinhead especially as the representative of that next level of and I'm not going to try and do my Doug Bradley impersonation, you know, of experience, right? He's the face of and the representation of what hell represents, what Hellraiser represents, with that next level of pleasure and pain and ecstasy and order. So he has to then have something worse than him to mix things up. And I guess I could have found worse things on the Nightbreed side, but once that order, discipline, friction started to happen, you know, it really, you know, the title was probably, you know, 3 times too intellectual, you know, for its own good, but you know, the holy war aspect of it, you know, predating anything else, you know, where that word has become perceived in different ways, you know, was straight on perfect for this, right? You know, praying won't save you, it's a holy war. I love that line on the back of it, you know.
I love when Alistair first jumps in when they're in the middle of deliverance from the curse of Nightbreed, return from exile to test our faith. And he's like, hey, I want to do something about that. And he's like, it is not your place yet to speak among the laity, Alistair. I can't do it at all. That time will not come for 6,727 years, 3 months, 5 days, 12 hours, 22 minutes, 48 seconds. It would seem you're out of order.
Yeah,
I love that.
Like that was the best insulting. Like again, Pinhead just has you gave him some good zingers.
He just withers. He just withers. It's kind of frightening that the laity of hell there and the you know, the discipleship of hell runs better than the U.S. Congress, I think, at this point. So they have slightly better
Congress
structure.
was running at all.
Yeah.
So
what's this?
This is his latest Kickstarter, Axel's.
Oh, okay, Axel's.
Yeah. So
yeah, you don't have to shift gear to this. You guys can keep on Jihad. You know, I know
we want to touch on this a little bit, especially because we're talking about order and hell.
Yeah.
And I feel it's a nice segue. We want to.
Okay.
Have you always been such a lover of this kind of mythology?
I mean, I was always a big fan of horror, you know, growing up and all through it. I mean, starting off with more classic horror and then expanding outwards into things. And I am just fascinated by the mythologies of hell. I mean, I think that came most directly as you start to try to find antagonists, you know, for stories when I was writing more horrific stories. And, you know, let's draw from demonology, and they don't necessarily have to be demons, but they might be your inspiration for it. But then certainly the Hellraiser work took me down, you know, some interesting paths and a lot of the research into that. And then as I started on this story many, many years ago, that took me even further down, finding obscure books every now and again, and then suddenly realized, oh, geez, I've got 20 of these. I don't know that I'm going to get much more from buying more books at this point.
I'm going to break into your house sometime and steal your library.
Yeah. So
my wife had me hide a lot of the books on the upper shelf when my kid was growing up.
That's fair. So if you had to do like an elevator pitch for Axel's Infernal that you're doing, what would that be? You know,
imagine there's not just one hell, but there's many hells, and there are many hells, right? You've got Aztec hells and Mesopotamian hells and Egyptian hells, and all of these hells want to be believed in, desperately want to be believed in, but some of them have fallen out of favor or are about to fall out of favor. Everybody's not as popular as Dante's hell, but the Underworld Transportation Authority is there to solve all that, because they will express deliver hell to earth for these different hells by ship or by by plane, or by truck. And so we follow the adventures of Necros Terminal, who is the dispatcher for the North American territory for the trucking division. And he has different drivers that have to deliver hell from these different hells, have to deliver different damnation to Earth. But they can only use humans to do this for various reasons. And so a young woman named Percy Cross gets hijacked, shanghaied, press ganged, seduced into having to become the co-driver of one of these rigs, Smokin' Sammy. So this is sort of her journey to hell and back, and then back to hell, and then back again in this course of these adventures with a more experienced driver named Virgil Shift. And so it's a very grindhouse, supernatural thriller, thrill ride in the spirit of a little bit Army of Darkness, a little bit Drag Me to Hell, a little bit Sam Raimi, a little bit Good Place. Not quite an elevator pitch, or maybe we're at the 20th floor at this point, but it's its own thing in that way, and I think pretty exciting. And the real hell is going through Kickstarter, but that's another thing.
And it's dead sexy, dude.
I wanted to play this. Hopefully you can hear it. If you can't, let me know.
It's the most beautiful screensaver.
No, I think the sound.
We can't, but the images are beautiful, Leo.
Yeah, they are. Oh, you can't hear it?
No. Well, let us watch it and imagine the words.
I actually loaded it into the video clips if you'd like to play it from there.
You were able to grab it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm all over this.
He does it all.
It's ready, man. She wrangled the squirrels into a line to perform.
I really like the idea that all hells are real. All hells are viable. It's kind of like.
Well, it's so much more interesting and rich, and then there's these ones that have been forgotten totally.
That's
and
fantastic.
So in this world, like Dante's like the strip, not the strip mall. It's like the mall of like hells, right? The Dante's hell, the Christian hell. Everybody's got that. They've got the most mojo. But then there's this poor little Babylonian hell that's got like 3, demons sort of begging for like a space on one of the trucks. And we've blown these stories out over many different storylines. So this is the first storyline, which will not reveal everything or every hell. Right. We just have to kind of get Percy into this. But the objective and the goal would be to then get enough sort of mojo behind it that we'd be able to tell these other stories, both bigger ones and even smaller ones. I've actually written, like small 8-page stories of just these guys making a very small delivery, here and there. So everything doesn't have to be this big overblown thing. It can just be these little wonderfully twisted vignettes.
I like that.
And then the energy definitely has that like 90s vibe. Like, and I think I mentioned last time when you mentioned like Peterbilts and everything, my brain, like my pop culture brain was like, oh God. Because at that time I was reading a lot of crossover comics, like Freddy versus Jason, Jason versus Jason X, all these things. And I was just like, oh God, Dan, Peterbilt, please don't do a Maximum Overdrive crossover. That is no. I was like, that is a hell we don't need to return to. Like,
I don't know that there's enough cocaine in the world to want to do I think Stephen King snorted it all up while he was directing that film.
We will try to find you more.
Yeah. But I will say, Jar, that when we had when we were interviewing Dan for the other one through the Owlite Network, which great interview, wonderful. He had this beautiful splash page that I think it was like the truck that he described, and they're driving on the highway, and you just see all these different hells in the background, and it was like the choose your own adventure of your nightmare.
Right.
And I was just like thinking to myself, I was like, oh dear God, like, and again, like I grew up Catholic, so I'm used to the Catholic hell, but through my history majorness, I know of other mythologies hells. I was like, oh my God, each one works. You're like, holy fucking hell, no pun intended.
Some of them are just, weird, desolate places, but they'd still be kind of interesting to sort of visit. Some of them are super sedate. Some of them are more twisted than anything. you could possibly imagine. But and some cultures don't really have much of one. Jewish culture doesn't really have much of a hell to speak of, in its own way, which surprised me as I was doing, the research.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I would figure the Jewish faith would have like kind of like the Catholic faith, one of the supreme hells.
No,
I
I mean,
burn
not
for
to that
eternity.
degree in that way. Yeah.
The hell is in what Yahweh, inflicts upon the evildoers, like that Old Testament wrath, like good Lord.
Yeah.
But
speaking of evildoers, I'm gonna be one right now, and I'm gonna play this video. This is short.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 55 seconds.
55 seconds.
Here's what I know. When you've lost your way, it gets easy to lie about the hard truths. My name is Percy Cross, and I've done some sinful things. I'd like to think they were for the right reasons. But the way to hell is paved with good intentions. So if you're going to drive that road, you better be damn sure you pick a good ride.
And we have the link to that in show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're listening to us.
If Splash Pages was like Shark Tank right now, I'd be like, shut up and take my money.
Here's my money.
Here's my money. It's fun. I mean, it's I know it's a ball, and I don't say that about my stuff almost ever. And Carl's pulling out the stops, and it's we've lived with this, like I said before, for a long while, in some cases too long a while, but the fact it still holds up and it continues to sort of generate new thinking, and you sort of want stories like that to kind of get out in the world. So Kickstarter is its own beast, as I've discovered, in its own way, and I'm learning how to navigate it, but we didn't get the fund it in 48 hours sort of thing. So now you kind of keep the slog going and see where you get to.
Well,
it's a mysterious beast, the Kickstarter. How and same with sharing that stuff on Facebook and stuff, like how the algorithm works and how to get people to see it. I have some posts that will be the most mundane thing and get 50 likes on it, and then I'll post something that I'm really trying to push and share and get 3 views.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
What the hell's going on?
I know I've spent 20 odd years working in marketing. So I know that 3% of the people will see anything you post, right? You think you have 500 followers and 500 people are going to see what I post today. No, 3% of those people will see what you post.
Yep.
So, I mean, it is, but there is a big community of people, working on Kickstarter or supporting people on Kickstarter. And I've gotten really great tips as I've gone along. If they've kind of come in and they've said, "Hey, do it this way," or redo that reward, and swap this out or put this image up. So I'm continually retooling it and seeing if we can tweak it, a little bit more, get us over a finish line. And if we don't get over a finish line, then I have other plans in mind. So we'll go there.
Well, I think, Dan, also kind of what you're saying is kind of what I feel we've seen more of in comic books these days, is that while it used to be the dream was working for the big two, which is, still a really fun thing to get to do. I feel like more of the joy is independent comics or, Kickstarters where the creator owned option, where you reap the benefits, but you carry the risk, but you reap the benefits regardless. And we've seen it now where even big names in the industry, we brought this up on the show, you have a lot of big comic book names are forming their own company. They're Ghost Machine, the new Image Comics thing. So I think it's just like you said, just rewatching the trailer, I just kept thinking you know what, I miss this. I enjoy the fun of comics, because I feel now it's just everything is so repetitive. and it almost feels like you've done it already. So it's like, what more can you do? But you see this, and it's just, it catches you. Like, that's like the compliments to this project you're working on. Because I'm like, I was like, you know what? Like, this is great. And guys, you know what this kind of remind me of? When we were Good Boy, Garrett Gunn's project. It's like, this idea shouldn't work, but it's like John Wick. because for that, Dan, that was John Wick, but it's the reverse. So it's the dog.
I love it. I love it.
And he's an assassin. No, I'm telling you, if you get a chance, check it out.
I definitely will.
An awesome book. It's the dog is the assassin avenging his owner.
That's awesome.
And it's a great little cartoon.
It's a cartoon, and it's awesome because it's, if you've especially watched the John Wick movies,
yeah,
it's a straight up homage, but in the best, most ridiculous way. So
yeah, the first comic almost follows the first movie.
Yeah,
like straight through.
But my point of that is just, it's that fun where I'm not just like, oh, they're trying to be the next Frank Miller. They're trying to be the next one. I was like, no, they're just having a ball with a baller story, and it's just great. And it's like, good Godspeed. Like, go.
And that's what every creator wants to do, you know, in their own way, and have a good time telling a story and sharing a story. And certainly there are tons of tools out there now where you can do it this, you know, in different ways. You know, you just put it out on your own. You could just invest a certain thing and just print it without even doing the Kickstarter thing or the crowdfunding thing at all. Certainly any printing option allows you to produce a book that doesn't look like it's some, you know, mimeograph thing or off the back of a vanity press. It's going to look just as good as anything else. But it is work, right? There is that additional work, and I totally appreciate and respect the idea of just wanting to do the work. Sometimes I just want to tell the story, want to create the story. I'd like somebody else to pick up on this other stuff, but in this instance, you know, made the decision, you know, with Carl Waller, my partner on this. You know, we talked about should we take it to publishers? Should we do this? Should we do that? And you know, various things led us to this decision to try it out this way, and you know, learning things along the way. So that's what you do.
So what's been one of the biggest challenges to overcome right now with Kickstarter?
Their design thing is pretty awful. I mean, laying the page out is surprisingly, I found kludgy. You know, I know digital software pretty well. I don't know if there's any type of software it's not digital. It's like saying something super exciting, but it's really kludgy. So even going in and updating things and putting in rewards and doing that feels like a slog. I expected something a lot more elegant in terms of being able to kind of get stuff in and out. Ton of spam, which I wasn't expecting. Navigating through a ton of, like, you know,
I can help you sell everything.
Exactly. You know, which is hysterical. And you know, it's just the thing of staying on top of it. It's like turning the crank and putting out new posts and reminding people. And you know, it could easily be a full-time job, but it cannot be my full-time job. I have to juggle that with other things. And then there's that, you know, I think, like, we get into the therapy, you know, session part of our program for a second. You know, there's that weird existential, nonsensical dread of, like, well, why isn't it funded yet? You know, I'm quote unquote, you know, I have some name value. Why didn't it kick in right away? And this reason and that reason. Not that I should be given, you know, some magic wand, you know, on my shoulder, but I was maybe I psyched myself out because I did a lot of pre-work on this with a lot of professionals who I respect, and I had them look at it and vet it, look at the page and look at what we were asking, and you know, is it laid out the right way? Is it saying the right things? Are we asking the right amount of money? And they were like, yeah, it's going to do great. And then it's like, oh, well, and I'm hoping it still does do good, but you don't get that immediate thing. And then you're like, okay, am I doing something wrong? And I'm not. I don't think I am. Like, I think I'm doing everything I possibly can. And it's just the roll of the dice, right? It's like, what happens on this day when something terrible happens in the world, or somebody else launches something else, or people only have so much money, to go around and back things. So as I said, it's a matter of I'd like it to happen, and I'm hopeful that it will still happen, but I'm learning stuff going along the way, and the story's still there. And the biggest risk I felt, frankly, was not telling the story. And by that I mean, Carl and I had come up with this quite a while ago. I think I mentioned this to these guys last time. We had sort of lost touch, and then we kind of got back in touch, and it was almost the first thing that kind of came to both our minds, which said to me that this is a story that wants to be told. And if we don't do it, it's going to go away, and it's going to go to somebody else. Leo's going to tell it next week, and he should, because we were too lazy and incompetent to tell it. So I want to force it out in the world in one way or the other, because I feel these characters speaking to me, not with quite the power of the Doug Bradley voice, perhaps, because everyone doesn't have a Doug Bradley voice, but they're real to me, and they've kind of become very channeled in, especially now. If I'd written this story when we originally conceived it years ago, it would have been a very different story, even though it has a very 90s vibe and a grindhouse vibe, and there's lots of action and so forth. It also has a very, I would say, flow of its own, which I really liked. I really liked discovering this strange pacing of this woman and what she's going through, and the things she's discovering, and how she's learned to stand up for herself in this totally inhospitable, horrifying situation, and maintaining some sense of real evil and menace, but also quirkiness and bizarreness and even humor. I mean, so it's a real different balance than, say, Jihad, which is just off the friggin' leash in terms of my God, where am I? By page 4, I'm like, I'm down a rabbit hole of utter strangeness. And by the end, I'm having editors tell me, we're not going to release this book because you went too far. But
yeah, that was. I'm glad that you guys fixed it. You knew going into it, though, that was going to be a problem.
No,
I think
I didn't care.
No?
I just no. We just went in and did it, and we got called in, and we got we had to. Greg Wright and I had to then talk to Carl Potts and explain what we were going to be doing and how we were going to handle it tastefully, and how it was an integral to the story. And Carl, to his credit, listened and respected us, and respected that we would respect him in turn. That we weren't just going for gristle and shock and being a bunch of bully boys and saying, "Look what we got away with." And I believe we handled it that way. It's a shocking moment, and it's horrible, and it's horrifying, all the things that it's supposed to be. But I think it respects the book and the situation, and I hope the readers.
So, Leo, did you have something you wanted to say before?
Yeah, I cut you off.
A couple times there, Jar Jar. But
I know.
I won't hold it against you.
Listen, you hyped him as a master interviewer. So
I know. Now I have to pull it all together.
Yeah, he's got to.
On that point, Dan. You said that that the story really wanted to be told. Is it true you lost the story for a moment? Like it was on a hard drive and it got wiped or something like that?
You mean Axel's Infernal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was I had and kids back up your hard drives every night. Suspenders and belts. I had a hard drive crash in 2001, and I lost like all my kids' photos from like the first year and a half of his life, and I lost almost every single comic thing I'd ever written, prior thing, like all my whatever scripts, Daredevil, Night Stalkers, hell, all the stuff I had saved, gone, totally wiped, unless I'd printed it out, which was rare and in between. And one of those was the big bulky presentation proposal for this Axel's Infernal, At that point, we'd been calling it Route 666. So, because I was incredibly clever in those days. And then I thought it was just gone. And then it was, this was sort of like the serendipity, like leading into, all right, do something already. I know exactly, right, Mahana? It's and then Greg Wright is my good friend, called me one day and just said, hey, I was cleaning up my hard drive and I found this thing. Do you want it? And it was the original proposal, which I had sent to him when I'd written it to get his feedback on it. And he'd given me some extraordinarily critical, scathing feedback, making it better. But he had both the original one and then the one that I had revised based on his critique. And so I had that as a jumping off point when I re-engaged with Carl, which frankly was a miracle. I mean, I remembered fragments of it. I remembered like the gist and whatever, but certainly having that additional tone and feeling and atmosphere and swagger, as it were great to have back to be able to then carry it forward to this next phase of it.
That is a
miracle.
Yeah. Now you can go, Leo.
Yeah. So it says you grew up in Connecticut. Where?
Stamford, which is where I live now. So I grew up in Stamford and then moved away, different places for a few years, mostly in the Northeast area, and then landed back here a while ago at this point. But are you in Connecticut, Leo? Or
yeah, I am. I grew up in Montville.
Okay.
Which is near Mohegan Sun.
Yeah. Okay.
And, I'm currently near Mystic. I'm over in Groton.
Oh, nice. All right. Beautiful area. Really nice. Yeah.
Definitely.
They do some nice Halloween stuff up there. Yeah.
They do. Yeah. A lot of people give Connecticut a bad rap, but I like it.
Just the drivers.
So Dan, just a little thing is that Leo is our gauge for how you talk, like editors talking about you went too hard on the strange. Leo is our gauge for when we go too far and recommending like a gory or an intense, just a weird book. Like I've counted on one hand the amount of times he'll just start is like, Drew, what the fuck? Like, just what did you check out of us do? And it's like what he says next is like, if that's a good what the fuck, like what the fuck, that was great, or what the fuck, like what is wrong with you? Go to therapy. Like, so Leo, when you were reading this,
yeah, Leo, what was your reaction to this one?
Oh my god, I'd have to say like that last scene when the person got hung and there was drippings. I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
And that's how you create a magic.
And that's how you do it. And that's how you do it, kids.
Yeah,
that's
but
how you make a hand of glory.
It was definitely a good what the fuck, your DG, your writing is fantastic. I did go into it. I'm not a big horror guy, like Jar Jar. I saw one of the more recent Hellraisers. I never saw the original. And I apologize, Drew. I did not watch.
I at least watched the original. Huh.
I think I watched 9. Was it?
Oh my god!
Wow, you went deep.
Yeah.
It goes on forever. It goes on like more than Leprechaun, I think. I don't
really.
know.
Yeah.
Do they go to space?
Yes, actually, they do.
Actually.
They do.
Shit.
Yes, and they went to space before Leprechaun, so suck it.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And there wasn't any giant leprechaun, but there was a laser. So they did laser in space. So, but yeah, they went to space, man. That was before Jason ever went or Leprechaun. So, trailblazers.
Hellraiser did it first.
Yeah, Hellblazer. Boom. God, I gotta stop creating these puns.
I think Leo, it's no. Go ahead, please.
Oh no, go for it. Go for it.
No, that's fine.
No, I was just going to say, it's really easy, and I've made the mistake, not in this context, I don't think, but I mean, I think when you introduce really, I think I did it more in like a book called Night Stalkers, which was like a horror book in the Marvel universe. But
yeah, Kari knows.
I think it's really easy to introduce weird elements, right? Like Hands of Glory and people hanging themselves to, or reaching up into other people and stuff, and just have it just become awfulness, right? Look how far I'm pushing it. I'm trying to kind of offend the audience. I'm trying to just show what I can get away with, or show that I read, some dark tome and, saved all the nasty bits for myself. And I think I was fortunate in being able to weave a fine line of going into this world and then keeping these characters, by and large, the most important part of it. I mean, the Nightbreed, I think, are gloriously warm characters, and I think that helps in the aspect of it, for me anyway. So maybe that made it more tolerable for you in those WTF moments.
Yeah, 100%. But Dan, should you have on the show, we're going to talk about Leo's childhood, because there is definitely a horror movie waiting to be made, but we're not going to get into that because it's time to wrap up. So, so the question I have is, before you go, is that essentially, I guess, write yourself off, as in, what is the best way people can reach you, things you're working on, that kind of deal. And I don't know, anything else you want to add before,
Sure. No, I mean, again, I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a personal favorite, something I've always held in high regard and was really happy to accomplish, especially since I didn't think it would be able to work. And I remember watching a podcast years ago where, sometimes you Google yourself and it comes up, and I watched this guy's horror podcast, and his basically the whole tenet was, there's no way this is going to work. He's like reading it like in real time. And then by the end of it, he's like, kidding. Wow, that really worked. So I was really pleased to kind of return to this world, with you folks. And I think, as a sign off, people can follow me on what's left of Twitter. I'm there as DG Chichester. Certainly the bit.ly/Axel's Infernal for the next couple of weeks. Please check that out if you can. There's a newsletter, storymaze.substack.com. Those are all pretty good places to kind of track me or get in touch with me. And in terms of other things that are coming up with a definitive space, would be another type of Daredevil, which is Daredevil, the superhero. So there's a mini series called Black Armor, which takes the character back into a almost forgotten, some say iconic, more armored version of his costume, and a kind of a retro spin with a very 90s feel. And it kind of takes place in Daredevil's past, back in the era when I was writing it, which is a 4-issue series and looks, and I think reads really great. It's got a ton of fierce adventure. I'm paired with an incredible artist named Netho Diaz. And if you liked what I was doing then, and even if you didn't, and you just like Daredevil and you want to get a real kick out of a pretty ripping adventure, I think people will find their money's worth starting on November 22nd.
Do we get
exactly
any spoilers?
A meow is exactly how I would say it. Yeah.
Any spoilers for that Daredevil? Any who's our bad?
There's some good Sabretooth action. There's some good Hobgoblin action. They're cool. Showing up. There's a couple of other folks we haven't revealed yet. But there's go ahead.
No, cool. No, yeah. Nothing to say. I'm just commenting like more of giving Dan money. Got it. Support friends of the show. So
yes.
Well,
make sure to check out the Kickstarter, everybody. It looks
please check it out.
I'm going to be helping out. I hope everybody.
Lots of great rewards, lots of great variants and stickers and stuff. Or just get the book. That's cool too.
But as we're wrapping up, Dan, thank you so much. But please, no tears. That's a waste of good suffering. So
yes, yes. It's
thank
Jesus,
you.
Jesus wept, and that's it.
I'm done. I'm good. You sign off already.
But before you go, we do have we do manage a fairly large horror community, so I made sure we shared it there. So
awesome.
Hopefully we'll give you some boost there.
I've been sharing it in my comic group as well, trying to.
Thank you, guys.
I like to get the comic. Anything that I find that's worth getting made, like it's definitely worth getting made.
We're stirring the nerds up for you, Dan. Don't worry, we got you.
It's the way it happens. You got to get people aware of it, and then it stands on its own merits, and I think it will.
Don't worry. If you're at Terrificon next year, we're going to try to get you a line, my man, for at least 15 minutes.
Well, I've had good stretches of traffic, and then nothing happens. And then somebody comes by and says you're Dr. Chichester. That's always fun when they see the DG. And
well, I want to remind everybody you can follow DG. All the information is shown us up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And before we let you go, just so I can dork out a little bit, you mentioned you've been in marketing for 30 years?
Yeah, about since about 99. So, not quite full, but it seems like 30 years. Yeah.
Okay. I only asked. I'm in digital marketing myself, and
okay.
Yeah. So,
were you working on your own, or for a organization, or what were you doing?
I work for a insurance company.
Okay.
And I was doing marketing technology, and they just moved me to paid ads. So
okay.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, no, I was on staff for a long time for Ogilvy and Mather, and then TBWA, and played different creative director, writer, chief this, chief that, roles across time, mostly in digital advertising. But once you hit a certain point, I feel you just can do anything. So that's the way I sort of look at it.
Yeah, well, you got to learn it all,
Yeah.
You never know where you're going to get thrown,
No, and it actually taught me a lot of discipline. So, which certain aspects of my style and approach to things certainly needed it. So I feel I'm much better positioned to approach things like these projects today because of that.
Very cool. Well, I sent you a connect request on LinkedIn, and
excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
I thought you were going to ask him what he collects. I was just like, we're going to finally find out if Dan collects anything. Damn you!
What do you scout over?
You can ask that question.
Leo usually asks all the guests, what it is that they nerd out about, or if they collect anything. Like,
man, over the years I've collected so many things, and if I could find, every now and again I found like an old bag of receipts, and you realize how much money I burned through at Toys R Us and KB Toys and stuff. And
you're on the right show.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel most of the stuff got cycled out over time. There's a ton of Looney Tunes figures that I treasured forever and a day. I still have some of these great glasses, which I cannot part way with. But there's still some great old James Bond toys up on the shelves up there. The thing is, my wife took over this half of the office space, which she's certainly welcome to. So all the cool stuff is kind of over here that I face. So there's really nothing behind me in that way. Most days nowadays I probably geek out more at crashing drones. That's sort of I work up my stress and get rid of my stress doing that when I can. Work up the stress because I realize, it's not coming back, and it's heading for that body of water, and that's
DJI.
Yeah. I got. Do you fly them as well?
No. I've been looking at them and trying to convince the wife that we need one. And
yeah, you definitely need one. You've got the roof inspection's a good way to kind of get in on it. We need to look at the roof and see if we need to get it repaired, and and then we could do it for grandma or the in-laws as well. So that's a good in. Yeah, nice.
Go looking for snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're not doing this. We've been good the whole. Sorry, Dan. We've been good the whole show, Kari. We're not saying the S word. Sorry. Don't.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Well, I
No, Leo.
well, just so he knows, the old farmhouse I grew up in had a snake infestation problem.
Ah,
So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I was killing about a dozen snakes this summer that were in the house. So
ooh, okay.
Horror story.
Right.
Yeah.
These were like 6 foot freaking long snakes.
Like real snakes, not little tiny little garter things. I mean,
no snake killer over there.
Yeah.
And he's so nonchalant about it, Dan. He's like, oh yeah, this is my childhood and everything. I was like, Leo, this is not normal. You're talking about killing copperheads before you had your coffee. Like,
right.
Fuck off.
Yeah. You do acclimate yourself though, right after a point. So you're like, just got to kill a bunch of snakes this morning, and then kind of move on today.
Yep. Zip. That's him. So no, next time, Leo. We're already next time.
Okay. That was my bad.
We'll let you go, DG. Thank you so much. And like Kari said, I think if you leave studio, it should give you the link. But if you don't get it, we'll send it over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it'll do the upload thing, and I'll just leave it running, for until it says I can go away. Right. So
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you again. And this is the boxes are getting very close to being solved, which is always my cue to leave. And take it easy, and happy Halloween to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
Glad to have you again. It was an honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then
that was a lot of fun.
We almost got him out of here in an hour, and then we all had to talk to him.
And then someone had to bring up fucking.
Hey, Mahana.
Hey, Mana. Thanks for contributing, girl, with the sad. Oh my.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. So yeah, we know. We're aware. So your second con boyfriend. She's just.
All my con boyfriends are married. I think you're forgetting that aspect.
Listen, fantasy holds no limits. Okay, it is whatever you can imagine.
Ooh.
Boom.
Before we get into the news, let's just take a couple minutes for our banter, because I know we didn't get a chance to do that.
Didn't say anything tonight.
I know. I just want to say I'm playing Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
Absolutely loving it. It's amazing. Amazing Spider-Man. Get it?
Get it? Play on words. Leo did it.
It's very unique. You switch mid-game constantly between Miles and Peter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What big bads have you fought so far? Nobody.
Actually, no. Sandman. You start off fighting Sandman.
Okay.
Matter of fact, that's one of the things is there's some crystal that's like linked to his psyche, and there's scattered throughout the city. So you have to fight little Sandmen, all over the place. And then Craven's team. So Craven has like some team of like killers that there was a big battle in the river.
Craven. Oh boy.
Yeah. But yeah, totally recommend it.
Very nice.
That and Mario. So
yeah, I saw your post the other day. It's the best Mario game ever.
Oh my god, so friggin' awesome. Yeah, it's so animated. There's like one level where the piranha plants are singing. It's a parade. It's adorable. They're friggin' adorable.
Very cool.
That just sounds crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't played a Mario game since Galaxy, I think it was.
Yeah, well, this is 2D. It's more of a more of a very sequelish to Super Mario World.
Okay.
Yeah, so more on that aspect.
That's back when I was able to still play. I never owned it, but I had friends who did. That was the one with Yoshi, right?
Yes.
Because my friend would like we were all messed up one night and we were playing, and we'd be like, Mario hops off and he's like, bye, have fun in the castle, And then as soon as he'd be like, I hope you die, you keep force feeding me, you make me spit everything up, you're a terrible owner, I hope you die. And then it would start, and then he'd just be like laughing hysterically and die. Because
my God, dear God, you starting a game off with immediate guilt trip? What is your mother playing? Like, okay, well,
that was just one of my friends.
I don't really have much, although apparently I look good in purple. It's the only banter I have. Is apparently wearing a purple suit is fashionable. So I'm like, oh sweet, I already have this. So I will say it's also funny. I went to a Halloween costume Sunday, and I was Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone, and I would just occasionally go into monologues, just sitting there, just a fake cigarette, just leave if you will. Welcome to Splash Pages, a place full of wonder, full of nerdery, full of a lot of weird shit. My God, we kept doing it, and I was just there. I was like, my God, this is exhausting. How did this man do this for years?
You got paid to do it.
That's what it was. But I did, and I will send the photos later. I decided what my second costume is going, because I'm going to a separate party this weekend for my girlfriend's relatives. I'm finally going to do Matt Foley from SNL. Chris Farley's Van Down by the River. Yep. And I am so pumped because I've wanted to do that for so long. And I'm like, let's live YOLO. As
you got the suit?
I need the jacket. That's all I need. I got everything else. I just need the jacket, and I'm just gonna probably I'll take a big nap and just be so energized, so I could just walk in. Well, Lodgy freaking da! Welcome to Splash Pages. There's Leo. There's Jeremy. There's Leo. There's Jeremy and Kari. Okay.
Are you gonna work in a joke where living in a van down the river is actually an upgrade now?
Yes. Yeah. Well, every day. But you know what other banter we could do is when we're doing the news.
There we go.
Oh,
do the news.
Before we do, the logo, not the logo. I'm out of it right now. The intro. Any thoughts, changes?
I really did.
Perfect.
Bring a tear to my eye.
Okay. I was chuckling the whole time.
Yeah, I started off grooving, and like it was great.
Okay. Yeah, it was nice, concise. It had the nice amount of energy and whatnot. But what we really want to know is what the fans think. Please comment below.
Tell us.
I'll load it separately
so
you can get a chance
in a van down by the river.
Tom Dog will be reviewing Super Mario Wonder this Thursday. Go check him out over on BroPro.
There you go.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, then you'll let us know when you get to go see him again.
I like how I feel like every show it's going to always be, hey, let's try to keep this as tight as possible. And then 2 hours later. All right. News item number 7. All right. So we're just hitting the ground running. News.
Phew.
DC. Okay, so this is one of my news stories. This is DC announcing this year for 2024 their DC their Power Anthology. So this was a successful anthology that they did last year, 2023, that ended up getting a second printing after overwhelming praise from both critics and fans. So this is a 104-page anthology spotlighting DC's African-American superheroes. So this is going to be released January 30th, 2024. The main cover is going to be by Chase Conley. You're going to have variant covers by Jamal Campbell and by famous artist and Milestone Media co-founder Denise Cohen, who we unfortunately didn't get to interview when he was at Terrificon this year. Hopefully he'll be back next year. So the stories is we're going to see a new Far Sector story by writer N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell, which is an epilogue to the Young Animals series, where we're going to see Far Sector's Green Lantern Sojourner, Joe Mullen, finally meet with Green Lantern John Stewart. So we're also going to get stories by The Signal, The Spectre, that's when he was Crispus Allen, not when he was Hal Jordan. Thunder and Lightning, which as we know is Black Lightning's superpowered kids. Bloodwind, who would everyone remember from his oddly forgettable time as part of the Justice League. Jeremy, that's the team that Doomsday tore through like tissue paper in the death of Superman.
Yes.
Valzad, who was the Superman of Earth 2.
Yeah.
Nubia, who is a slightly newer character created by Brian Michael Bendis, and more. So we're going to see a lot of talented writers: John Ridley, Brandon Thomas, Sean Martinborough, Cheryl Lynn Eaton, Aletha Martinez, and then Jamal Campbell, Edwin Gallman, Kerry Randolph, Denise Cohen, Tony Atkins, Isaiah Fulmore, and more. January 30th, 2024. This looks awesome. I'm super pumped for great anthologies with great characters. And hey, listen, I'm down for good DC comics. So it looks pretty great, not gonna lie.
Awesome.
Yep, yep.
Next up, looks like Jar Jar Cable.
Oh, the return of Cable. Okay. You guys want the long or the short? Because the long's not too bad. I've gotten it down, though. I'm going to do the long.
All right, buddy. Go for it. Go long.
We are in the midst of a battle to protect Krakoa. This epic struggle will be narrated through two intertwined comic series, namely Fall of the House of X and Rise of the Powers of X. Additionally, there will be supplementary stories in various X series, along with the introduction of a new series called Cable, written by Fabian Nicieza and illustrated by Scott Eden. Set to debut in January, Cable follows the adventures of one of Mutankind's most formidable warriors. He is on a mission to confront Orcus and a fresh threat known as, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Neocracy?
Yes,
Neocracy? Neocracy?
Yeah, let's go with that.
In this critical undertaking, he'll join forces with someone he can trust, himself. The younger version of Cable is making a comeback as both versions race to prevent a disastrous future from becoming a reality. The series marks a significant return for Fabian, who is well known for his contributions to Cable's character development during the 1990s and X-Force and Cable's solo exploits, as well as the popular Cable and Deadpool series in the 2000s.
Yes.
Nicieza expressed his excitement, stating, "It's always a delight to write Cable and challenge him with intense physical and emotional conflicts. Given my extensive history with the character, it's also enjoyable to contribute to his storyline. The storyline emphasizes the urgency of preventing a bleak future from unfolding. The Neocracy is on the horizon, and its arrival threatens not only Mutantkind, but all of humanity as well. In addition to rescuing young Nate from Orcus, Cable must confront this looming menace and eradicate it before the Neocracy can take root. Is he already too late to alter the course of the future? By the book."
Nicely done, Jar. Well done. Fabian is always great. He's basically written Cable so much. I feel like he could be considered the godfather of Cable stories. And young Cable being a new thing, I think it's going to be interesting seeing old Cable fighting young Cable, fighting alongside young Cable, especially because at one point one was dead, but the other one was existing, which is just another reason why we really got to watch time travel and not just, just say, fuck it, whatever.
It happens,
But if you're the young me, why don't I remember telling me this?
I'm old. I got the glowing eye and metal arm, and a lot's been going on. I've got a lot of stuff, but
lots happened.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, hey, Cable's back. All right.
Yeah.
It's back. People didn't go to streaming.
Yep. Leo, next story, please. You and your
get out.
What? That was so bad. I let Jeremy say my catch line.
Cut it out.
Oh,
I love it.
I wonder whose story this could be.
Okay.
I wonder.
So this one is really quick. This year on November 22nd, it will be local comic shop day. And so everybody go out to your local comic shops. There are going to be some free comics out there that you can get your hands on. And this particular cover, it's two covers that are put together, the connecting variant covers for Universal Monsters Dracula #1. It's published by Image Comics Skybound. And the cover art is by Jason Sean Alexander, who has worked on many horror projects over the years at Dark Horse, Warner Brothers, DC, Hasbro, White Wolf, and some other places. So you can try it. The interesting thing is going to be, can you get both covers at one shop, or do you need to go to multiple local comic book shops in order to get that? Because we don't know how many they're sending out.
I love a good gimmick. Connecting covers gets me.
Especially Kari, like this particular version of Dracula, or this story, is being written by one of our favorite writers, Mr. Something is Killing the Children. James Tynion the fourth is writing the story. And the part of Skybound is that they're tuning up Universal products and experiences and bringing these classic characters back to life. So I don't know if this is the first one or if this is the first in a series, but you know, a well-written Dracula, I mean, there's no way it can be worse than Dracula 2000, right?
Yeah, we can hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Well,
I don't think anything's that bad.
It was Universal Monsters Dracula #1, so maybe there'll be a bunch of different Universal monsters.
I want to go.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
I'd be very much into that.
What was that, Jojo?
My favorite is Frankenstein out of the Universal monsters. I like the little Blue Lagoon, or not Blue Lagoon.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Black Lagoon, yeah.
That would have been a totally different movie.
Totally different movie.
I'm not you. I swim for you. The Blue Lagoon, everyone. Stay tuned. Next, please.
Blue Lagoon.
Next. Oh, this is one of mine. So, in Scarlet Witch, which unfortunately, despite a lot of critical acclaim, is winding down. So in the penultimate issue, Scarlet Witch issue 9 by Steve Orlando, Sarah Pichelli, and a bunch of the other creators, we see a day in the life of Wanda Maximoff, and somewhat of those wide adventures that, you know, this famous Avenger goes on. And in addition to fighting monsters with other mystical adventurers like Jennifer Kale and Man-Thing, and even helping her niece Luna stop a bit of what's called mystical gentrification, she is seen fighting alongside Sarah Rogers, aka the hero Crusader from Earth 9811. So for those who don't know what that is, that Earth was created by Jay Ferber and Greg Schimmel and made its debut in 1998's What If issue 114. Now that was an alternate ending of the original Secret Wars, where, unlike the original Secret Wars, where the heroes and villains who were trapped on Battle World went home, this one imagined ones where they were unable to do so. So they stayed on that world and decided to raise families. So this that allows a new number of heroes to emerge as a new generation, and this one being Sarah, who is the daughter of X-Men's Rogue and Captain America. So
wow,
yeah, I was like,
Captain America, huh?
Yeah, I was like, wow, what a wonderful cameo, especially since we haven't seen this alternate Earth in, I believe, decades. Was the I understood. So you gotta love it when series do little cute nods like that, because they really do help keep the spirit alive for certain universes. So little fun fact there, in case anyone's reading that Scarlet Witch series.
Stuff like that makes me always want to go back and get the original to be like, this is where it all first began.
Yes, because you need more long boxes in that attic.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of always imagined one day you'd just be able to locate one like Raiders. You know, you got the light from your attic. Okay, there's my Fantastic Fours. All right. So that's currently out. So if you like that, check that story out. Vibe. Next.
Very nice.
Would that be the staff of Jar Jar?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Smoke 3 blunts for the god, the hemp god to which you praise. All right.
He comes with rolling hands and holding hands and smoking hands.
Screw that. I now have a machine. I got old man hands.
All right, old man hands. What's next on the news?
So I have to say I was utterly confused when reading the information on this. So Star Wars announces Mace Windu Jango Fett series.
Right.
And as I read that, I thought it was a series with Mace Windu and Jango Fett, and I thought, oh God, that must be so awkward. Like, hey, I beheaded you, you know.
Pages upon pages of
it's a buddy comic.
You
know. One had his head bashed, the other one lost an arm. Yeah.
So then upon reading further, you realize the announcement of 2 completely independent series in the same universe.
Actually, a bunch of different series. So Star Wars or Marvel is they're removing a series right now. Bounty Hunters is coming to a close.
Yeah.
So in return of removing one series, of course, they need to add half a dozen more. So Bounty Hunters is going to be a new prequel series.
Okay.
And it's written by Mark Bernardin. It was announced at New York Comic Con.
Okay.
So that name may sound familiar. He's the Kevin Smith's co-host from Fat Man Beyond.
Okay.
He's also written for Castle Rock, Masters Universe Revelation, Treadstone. Oh. And he was also listed as a producer for the recent Picard series.
Okay.
So we don't know the actual story of these yet. We just know that it's going to be a new series for Mace Windu.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that Mark Bernardin is writing.
Right.
I hope he comes back.
I hope so too. You know.
I'm that dork. You know, I believe it. If you don't see them actually die, then they may still be alive.
That's fair point, Jar. That's a fair point. Yeah, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Leo, but this is the second Mace Windu series, right? We had one in 2017 that was by Matthew Owens and Denise Cohen that had the subtitle Jedi of the Republic, because Mace Windu is just doesn't pop enough. We got to have a subtitle.
Yeah, I can't keep up with the Star Wars series because they got way too many of them going on.
Neither can I, but I will say I did hear that the Jango Fett series that's launching in March by writer Ethan Sachs does have a Lenel Yu cover, and I heard that's pretty marvelous.
Yeah, we don't know who the actual artist will be, but the Lenel Yu is one of their covers was shown at New York Comic Con as well.
Of course.
Also listed is Thrawn Alliances is being adapted to a comic book. So the Timothy Zahn book series. And if you're unfamiliar, Timothy Zahn wrote, you must know his books. Yeah, if like, you know, it's all legacy stuff now. It's not part of the actual canon.
Although they're slowly bringing bits and pieces of it into canon.
Oh yeah, because we have Thrawn now in the Star Wars universe. But if you want to dig a little deeper and you don't want to read, you know, his Heir to the Empire books, so Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and Last Command, they released those in a graphic novel form in 2009. So if you wanted to pick those up before Thrawn Alliances comes out, you know, that may be beneficial for you to do.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, here's the Jango Fett cover.
That is really nice. Well, but
nice Beskar.
I mean, again, Lenel Yu, I mean, come on. Even if he's half-assing, he's still going to look good.
Yeah.
I think that's
become one of my favorites.
I was going to say, I think Kari, he's become like your new Jim Lee.
Kari's a collector of the artists and writers.
She has like a little Pinterest in her mind. I was like, okay, I like you. You do good. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, more Star Wars. Like, we don't have enough.
Yeah.
Never enough.
Well, never enough is what we're getting now with some facsimile editions. Kari.
Oh, yes, dear Lord.
Oh, that's cool.
It has been 40 years since the epic crossover event Marvel's Secret Wars was launched. And to celebrate, Marvel's going to go ahead and reprint them in facsimile forms down to the ads starting in January. There will also be a ton of variant covers, including foils, which we do not have here because they have not released them yet, so we don't have to look at them all.
Getting foil covers?
What? Oh, yeah, there's going to be foil. There's going to be variants. Everybody who can possibly get their arm in this is going to do whatever they can to get. We're going to have Frank Miller event. We're going to have everybody.
Oh, God.
Oh, no Frank Miller, please.
No.
So Secret Wars is also where we first saw Spidey in his black costume, which turned out to be, spoiler alert, Venom. And so that premiered in Amazing Spider-Man number 252. And because they just really like making events, Marvel is also going to be releasing facsimiles of it and the rest of the Amazing Spider-Man issues that followed it that year, along with facsimiles of the Secret Wars each month. The first issue of Secret Wars is going to hit the shelves on January 3rd. Well, Spidey 252 comes out on January 31st.
Oh, okay, I need to say this. I didn't know what facsimile meant until they started releasing these, and now I'm over it.
It's a reprint.
No, I get, but I didn't know what that meant. And now I'm like,
you youngster.
Yeah, now I'm like, facsimile, no.
Facsimile.
Yeah.
Where we get fax machine from.
Yeah. Hey, cool, Leo. You want to know another fact? Next. Jeez. This is also me. So because of course DC has a book celebrating Black History Month, Marvel Voices Legend issue 1 will basically be arriving on Wednesday, January 31st. It's the latest entry in Marvel's Voice series. So you have an all-star amount of people. David F. Walker, Ezra Clayton Daniels, Justina Ireland, Eder Messiah, Sean Damian Hill, among others. So amongst the stories you see there, we have a story about Elijah Bradley by basically in facing down the, of course, iconic villain Crossbones. He has to explore his own family legacy and remind himself of his own destiny to save the day. Misty Knight celebrates her 50th anniversary of Marvel with the Daughters of the Dragon reunion. So essentially reuniting Misty Knight with Colleen Wing. And then Ezra Daniels, who, for those who don't know his work, Doom Patrol, makes his Marvel debut with a Deathlock story. So essentially, it looks like Deathlock meets RoboCop. So he's always tried doing good with his Deathlock. Now he's broken beyond repair. So in order to continue the fight, he's forced to make a game-changing decision. So they're going to reveal other stories and writers and artists at a later time. But this book is coming out January 31st, 2024. I have to say, I've read some of this. I'm not as hyped for this as I am for the DC one. That's just my 2 cents. I'm sure these stories are just as good. I don't know. I feel like I was a little bit more hyped for the DC one. I don't know.
The DC one did grab my attention a lot more.
Yeah.
It looked like they were putting more effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like this is continuing that thing Marvel does where we have a popular character. Cool. We're going to do the same character, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's a Green Arrow and Hawkeye all over again. But hopefully with more that's revealed, our interest will be piqued a little bit more. So January 31st, everybody. A lot of books. Next.
I'm sorry, I was muted and I was trying to say something. I was going to be a smart ass and I was going to say, hey, Drew, so you mean Marvel's making a facsimile of a character?
And you know what I'm going to say to that? Get Out, and next.
Hey, Jar Jar, you got some Spawn stuff?
It's for me, yeah. A century after the iconic debut of Todd McFarlane's Spawn in Spawn #1, fans can anticipate an exciting transformation for the character in the upcoming series called Rat City, which was revealed at New York Comic Con last weekend. Building upon a storyline introduced in Spawn issue 301, this narrative introduces a fresh iteration of Spawn, symbolizing a new era in the character's legacy. This transformation is significant both in terms of the character's evolution and the comic's impressive milestone as it approaches its 350th issue and journeys towards the monumental Spawn issue 400. This latest series will introduce a brand new Spawn, yet the character will maintain a direct connection to the legendary Al Simmons. As per Image Comics, Rat City delves into the story of Peter Karn, an ex-soldier from 2092 who, unlike Al Simmons, is not dead. Peter's status as a Hellspawn emerges from a unique source, the nanites within his prosthetic legs. These nanites were influenced by Al Simmons' necroplasmic detonation in Spawn 301, with Al unaware that the repercussions of his actions would extend through space and time. Rat City is penned by Erica Schultz, which she is the first woman to write a title in the Spawn series, and it boasts the artwork of Zay Carlos. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So basically, Jar Jar, this is Spawn 2099.
Yeah, pretty much. My joke. You stole it.
Don't make me pull this podcast over.
It is exactly Spider-Man 2099.
Well, I mean, I got to say, as a Spawn fan who's been checked out for a while, I'm going to check this out because that looks great. And the series.
Well, they're supposed to be also doing a lot more with Spawn coming up. A lot more series and stuff.
I think they just announced a Gunslinger Spawn book as well because King Spawn has been doing really well. Scorched, like a lot. Spawn has basically been a huge uptick with it. I mean, I don't know. I know people are still buying it because they're still pumping out Spawn. I have not. I don't think I've picked one up since
250 was mine.
Yeah, same. Like 250, 275. That was my last. I did pick up 300, but that was more because it was right. Exactly. I would most likely do the same thing for 350 and 400 because those are milestones.
Oh yeah.
But I have not been, and I used to be so invested in Spawn.
I loved like 1 through 100 and something, and fell off around there, and then tried to come back around 250, and then I didn't find the same love I had for it then.
Yeah, it's rough, but honestly, I love this. I've always enjoyed, just like what we talked about with Dan and Hellraiser and the legacy of the characters. I've always loved that there have been different Spawns throughout the world, similar, Kari, to like how there have been different Ghost Riders, So I like the look. I'm down to give this a solid try. That's my 2 cents.
Well, it'd actually be $4.99. Pay it up.
$4.99 in my hand.
No. 2 covers max.
Oh yes.
I'm here. I don't want you to put a second mortgage on your toys. Okay.
So this next story made me sad. Okay.
Wolverine with the Infinity Gauntlet made you sad?
No.
So next year, 2024, Wolverine turns 50.
Oof, that makes you sad.
No, what they're doing to celebrate it makes them sad.
No, what makes me sad is I was born in the same year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
old man Leo now.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Old man Leo sitting on the corner.
Wolverine debuted in Incredible Hulk number 180 in 1974.
Right.
Unlike the one where everybody says it's 181. Good job, Leo. 180. It's on the last page, folks.
Continuity cop, Leo Pond.
Yeah.
Yes.
6 years later, he started his own series, a miniseries in 1982. And for the 50th anniversary, we are going to get a shit ton of covers.
I want them.
Well, hold on.
I actually want these.
Along with the covers, I counted 15. I don't know if there's going to be more of them. They should have done 50 covers.
I think that's what they might do.
Okay. Well, actually, I counted like 24 issues. I'll pull it up. But anyway, along with the covers, we're going to get a special series. And I believe this is what Chris Claremont was referring to at his panel on Terrificon, where he was working on a special project. So legendary writer Chris Claremont is going to be writing with artist Jim Lee, Madripoor Nights.
Right.
We're going to be seeing Wolvie meet up with Captain America during World War II to rescue a young Natasha Romanoff.
Right.
And there's going to be special reprints as well. So I'm assuming we'll get a reprint of 180 and miniseries and a new variant program. This all starts in January. And, oh, my God, they're referring it to as the Snikt family.
Yeah. And then they're calling these Wolverine covers. I was like, so he's the Canadian Beetlejuice?
Wolverine.
Yeah.
I just like that they all homage old school covers.
Okay, so Jeremy said he was going to tell me what each of them were. And
right, that's a Silver Surfer cover.
Okay.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's Infinity Gauntlet.
Yep.
Yeah, I love
number one.
And that's going to be on Avengers.
I want to grab that one.
Okay, and that's the Vision one. I remember.
Yep.
Enter the Vision.
That's Amazing Spider-Man.
Right. That's Green Goblin and supposed to be Green Goblin and Spider-Man. That's that famous cover.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh,
that's giant size.
Yeah, giant size X-Men.
Right. Okay.
All right. I got nothing for this
one.
It's
like a classic X-Men cover. That's got some Neil Adams vibes to it. The big head in the background. Next.
Yeah, that's going to be for Black Panther number 8.
Okay. Kari knows this one.
Anybody?
Anybody? Yes.
What is this?
Javier Sanders, Ghost Rider, Volume 3, Issue 1. Yay!
Next. That's Fantastic Four. That's that's from their first appearance. So that's just Steve McNiven drawing Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks good.
I don't know the homage on that one.
No.
Oh, that's Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. Oh.
Another one.
That's the Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Yep.
I like the costume and the shine and gloss on that one. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I just have to say it because I say it every time this comes up. My issue was stolen.
Yeah.
It hurts me every single friggin' time.
Especially because it's so expensive now. I know. That's Secret Wars. That's the referencing the black Spider-Man suit. It's a Secret Wars issue 8 or 8.
Oh, that's the Incredible Hulk.
No.
No, that's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, you're right. This is
Spider-Man No More.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is from the Romita era. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man 361.
Right, the Venom holding the Spider-Man. Right. Absolutely. Beautiful cover by Lennell, of course. Right. That's from Absolute Carnage. Yeah. I think. Yeah, it's from a Carnage. It's a Carnage cover. No, Carnage USA. That's what that is. I don't know what that one is, but
that's a lot of Wolverine.
That is a lot of Wolverines. I don't know.
Looks like one of the ones that had,
and now the next news story.
Yeah.
Sorry. My bad.
So there are only like 2 that we didn't know exactly where they came from.
Yeah.
What is that? What does that quiz say? You're nerds.
Winners.
Issue number 8. No. But the Snicked family, no.
Leo, just don't buy
I
into
do
it.
appreciate how they did the homage for 300 instead of having the number in the background, having the snicks back there.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, listen, it's not as bad as I thought, but I'm still not supporting it.
I'm probably going to get 10 of them.
So hold on, I'm going to bring up the issues. It's going to be starting in January with Captain America number 5, Doctor Strange 11, Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, Venom, then Avengers, Blade, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Yes, it's a shit ton of. Looks like 24.
Yeah, you got sensational She-Hulk, Wolverine, and then ASM, Black Panther, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, X-Men. Of course,
that's the sad part that it's not all for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immortal Thor, Spider-Woman, Superior Spider-Man, and Punisher.
You know what they should have done is just done, Wolverine covers.
Wait. Avengers, Dead X-Men, Incredible Hulk, Spider-Boy.
Yep. They should have just done a year-long event and just did Wolverine covers,
Yeah, maybe do it bi-monthly too, and so
and do a couple variants per month.
Yep.
People are going to be so. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, it's too much, Kari. I agree.
When I started collecting comics, if I was to go and pick up Doctor Strange number 4 and see all it was Wolverine, and then there wasn't Wolverine in it at all, I would be
that happened to me.
What the fuck is going on? I would have had no clue if I was a newer collector.
No, it's happened to me before. You pick up a Batman comic, Green Lantern's on the comic cover, you go to read it, and there's nothing about Green Lantern in here at all. This is bullshit.
False advertising.
Well,
and then you realize it's a variant cover.
Honestly, it's just a variant overload, and it's too much. So just like what we talked about, I won't support it. But I
was telling Kari, I think it was last night. I was looking at new comics for this week that were coming out, and every single comic has at least 4 variants to it. It doesn't matter. It's not like they're number ones or anything like that. They're just variant overload.
Yeah, it's too much, man.
And it's like that for all the publishers. Everybody's guilty.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much. So, our way of saying no is not buying it. Right, Leo?
I'll try.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, next.
Actually, hold on.
If I can find somebody that's selling all those covers in one bunch for a decent price, I might get it.
Here are all the issues that have variants this week alone.
No, Leo, we didn't need to see it. Oh, God. Why? You made it a reality, buddy.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Ooh, Detective Comics 1075.
No.
You do Detective and Batman?
Yeah.
We talked about No More Hate.
I haven't picked up a Detective since New 52.
Holy fuck. This is insane. Ooh, that's a cool one. Actually,
yeah, it is.
58.
I like when they do that negative space thing.
Yeah. This is also Independence as well. Immortal Thor is getting a special variant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll stop.
Overloaded.
You're still going. That's
all right. Next.
This is so much fun. All right. On November 29th, X-Men Blue Origins #1 will be hitting the shelves to tell the true origins of Nightcrawler, with much Mama Mystique love involved in a one-shot written by Cy Spurrier, with art by Wilton Santos and Marcus Tu, and a cover by Francis Maniple, and a variant cover by Russell Dauterman. That's the variant. This is going to be running alongside Spurrier's Fall of X series Uncanny Spider-Man, which was released already. Issue 1 was on September 20th. So Kurt Wagner appeared first in giant-sized X-Men back in May of 1975, written by Len Wein. Wine. Okay.
I think so.
And his origin has been played with by everybody who's ever written him. So far, pretty much the only agreement is that he is the son of Mystique and Azazel and is a devout Catholic. Back as far as 1981, Chris Claremont, who created Mystique, aka Raven Darkholme, and Destiny, aka Irene Adler, who guesses from the Sherlock universe as well, which had Mystique posing as Sherlock in disguise every now and then. They were supposed to be lined up to be lovers, and they were going to have Raven become a man, and together they were going to father and be the biological parents of Nightcrawler. However, the comics code authority at the time said, no, that ain't gonna happen. So we've had all these different changes, and now finally, Cy Spurrier is going to take on, and since they can be a couple, it is going to be revealed exactly what Destiny's role was in the affair between Mystique and Azazel, and we will see then what she has to do with Nightcrawler. They're basically retconning everything according to this, and it's going to just be a nice little one shot. This is exactly what you need to know about Nightcrawler and Raven and this.
And this is by Chris Claremont?
No, this is by Cy Spurrier.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, who's been working on the character for quite a bit now, and he's doing great work with that Uncanny Spider-Man series I've been raving about with you guys. So definitely keep an eye on this, because he's talking about essentially this is going to be the definitive origin. Like, essentially, there's been a lot of twists and turns with his origin over the years. They want this to kind of be the concrete one that kind of explains it all and then establishes this is the true origin. So,
gotcha.
So this is that setting it straight. So, okay, hey, why not? Looks cool to me.
One and done
on both of the covers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's interesting they had the two different artists work on it. I believe it was Marcus Toe or two. Okay, Marcus Toe did only the first couple pages, I think, and then the rest of it was done by Wilton Santos, or reverse that. But no, there's some pretty neat art on the pages there. I think it looks really beautiful. So
all for it.
And they only have one variant.
We need to stop skipping holidays. Like, why the fuck are we talking about Valentine's Day already?
Okay, but this is a great story.
No, I'm with you. Why
doesn't need to be discussed now.
No, but when you Leo and Jeremy, I agree with you. But when you hear this pun, you're gonna like. It's called DC's "How to Lose a Guy Gardner in 10 Days." Okay. So I agree with you. It is a little much, but this is an 80-page one-shot published in Valentine's Day. A bunch of characters going on dates, successful or not. You're going to have Marguerite Savage, Dennis Hopeless, Aaron White, Brendan Hay, George Mann, Danny Lore, Alex Gare, and others. And then you have Marguerite, Ivan Sharon, Emil Sanapo, Banadar Rivas, Ted Brandt, Rio Stein, Leonardo Rodriguez. A hilarious cover by the great Amanda Connor. Variant by Ariel Diaz, Christian Ward, and then Dustin Nguyen. It's only $9.99, and I have to read the synopsis because this is killing me. Romance is rarely a simple affair. Love is almost always to follow some sort of conflict. Whether you're Plastic Man, twisting yourself into knots trying to please someone, or the Flash traveling back in time just to make a catastrophic 51st dates perfect, or even a lonely robot who just can't seem to find love unless it's mail from a computer screen, like Red Tornado, love is actually a pain in the 27 dresses. So in the grand tradition of these dating conundrums, a la rom-coms of the 90s and 2000s, we are proud to present 8 new stories about love and trying to find it in this zany world.
So $9.99 per variant?
Per variant.
Per variant.
Which one you going for, Leo? You can only choose one.
If I had to choose one, I'd go with the Guy Gardner one.
I'm on the Nightwing.
Yeah, but is Nightwing currently with Batgirl? Like,
yes,
I have no idea, but her
I'm reading
hands
the series.
all over his booty.
I'm reading the series. He is with Batgirl right now,
oh, okay.
but he's still on good standing with Starfire. So I was like, okay, so we made that work.
So since I learned recently, and I asked you about it, his butt cheeks have been named. Which one was she touching on the cover?
They have been named.
What?
Yeah, I was really confused on a Reddit post where they were talking all about Nightwing's butt, and apparently it's like become such a thing that somebody named each one, and they have like conversations about them as if they are like characters themselves.
I know they made fun of it on Harley.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, they were, part of it was joking, but part of it was just like, oh yeah, we really like so and so.
Well,
I can't remember.
That is something I'm not going to Google for you, Carrie. So,
No.
Okay.
And
I'll look it up.
Oh
after.
my God! There's a whole like.
oh my
there's
God.
there's a wormhole, or there's a hole to go down here.
Jar, close your computer. I don't want you want to get infected.
Oh my God!
Close it, buddy.
Like Nightwing's Nightwing's butt, a thick history of Dick Grayson's butt. I'm just like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's what they call him on the street, Thick Grayson.
Thick Grayson, THCC.
Yeah. All right. So while you don't go down that line, everybody, February 6th, that book is dropping. I'm going to check it. I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but I'm kind of interested to check it out because that pun is great. So that's all I'm going to say.
And Guy Gardner doesn't get used enough.
He really doesn't. Yeah. But he got taken out in one punch. But Leo, I think that's all the news.
Carrie added some other stuff. What did you add?
Oh,
my God. What the hell? No?
That was all the stuff. Yeah, don't put it up now. I mean, we can. It was all the extra Dan stuff if we were going to go over it.
Oh, gotcha.
Stuff for Daredevil and for Axel's Infernal if we had time. But
you should have brought it up.
We did. we had the time and we left it. We could.
No. I
know.
The images, you can click the button. You're allowed to click the button.
So
okay, well, let's do this one because this was a really cool one. This is the one that he was talking about with all. We discussed this with him, and he had a better image of it that didn't have the Axel's Infernal part on there. But this was like the weird hellscape that the truck is like driving out of, with all sorts of images of different monsters from different hells and stuff that they're trying to get out of so they can move on and do their deliveries and things like that. But that's a sample of the artwork, and I'll give you a couple others.
I feel with Dan's work, it's educational and entertainment.
Agreed.
It was a really good time having him on the show, and with that, and we'll give you guys a real quick one. Sneak peek of just the ink of upcoming Daredevil.
This is his upcoming Daredevil black armor stuff.
Hey,
Yes.
Carrie, if you have some free time, you know what would be awesome? Each of those images you have, I would say share them on Hellfire, do each one as like a post, and then like a small blurb about what the image is, and then just reference his Kickstarter.
Boom.
And hey, DG has a Kickstarter, ends on so many days.
Absolutely.
Well,
maybe do each one like daily.
And that is a conversation we will have after the show.
There we go.
We'll wrap it up, Leo.
We'll wrap it up. Last item I'm going to add. This just popped up today. Did you know the Marvels has a record? It's record breaking. I don't know why they.
Hey, Jabo.
Hey, Jabo. I'm sorry, what?
They have
So the Marvels is breaking a record.
Okay.
It's not even out.
Yeah, but it's breaking a record for the shortest Marvel movie. It's clocking in.
Really?
Yeah, an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
That's still long.
Yeah, just over 2 hours.
I got to leave my house still for that long. No way.
Yeah, Leo, you know what's going to be considered a record? We do a Marvel movie that's 90 minutes. That'll be a record for me. But just like we're trying to do longest show.
Yeah, I know. We're going to wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. You know me, just Google me. Yeah, that's it. Jar Jar.
Hey, it's Jar Jar. Follow me on Facebook. I'm Jeremy Courtney. Check out Comic Book Lovers Buy, Sell, Trade, and Auction House, where you can buy, sell, and trade all of your geeky stuff. Also, check out the Education of Nancy Ann Ritter on Spotify and wherever else you can find podcasts. And are we doing a midweek geeks this week?
No.
So I won't do that.
Kari.
Hey everybody, you can find me and Ratatosker either here on the Dorkening on Splash Pages and sometimes Midweek Geeks. Otherwise, look at Kari Sanders on Facebook. If you see a crow, that is me. All of my links are there over at Owlite and here. And yeah, you can just find me there. It's fun. I write things to me on any of my people, and I'll Girl Friday, I'll get back to you probably, and then let me know that you spoke to me. So
awesome. Mr. Drew.
Hey everybody, I'm Drew, and as you saw there, that's my Instagram, GhostBusterman1984. And just if you want Leo's email address, message me on Insta and say that you saw me say that, and you'll get that and more. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I'm working on writing regularly again for Screen Rant, so those will be all posted on my page and such. Working on a lot, keeping busy, and always working to make this the best thing you could do on Tuesday night.
Awesome. With that, we'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.